right, boys, we are back in another depressing episode. Ain't No Seats podcast. The Hawks lose again. And I asked before we got going, I don't really know what to make this episode about. I'm beyond the whole I just don't think this team's very good. This team's bad. I don't know. I'm done melting down. I can't even really melt down much more. I'm now at the point of we've got a problem, as Stephen A would say.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm just looking for I need hope because here
Thank
we
you.
are. Here we are in March. Yes, bad hombre. Give this guy a reward. I don't know. Like and subscribe. Subscribe. We're 300 away from 1,000 subscribers, and bad hombre, more like good hombre, if you ask me. But I don't know. We got to talk John F. Hey,
Johnny Furphy.
Spotlight John F. That's Johnny Furphy. His dad, John Furphy. Shout out. He's also reminding you all to subscribe for the audio folks out there. But yes, I'm looking for hope because here we are in March, and boys, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right to go into March not feeling great about this. Feeling like a Sweet 16 would be like a major win.
Yeah.
Go ahead, B-Turn.
Well, it would be a major win because we wouldn't lose in the Sweet 16 because Bill doesn't lose in the Sweet 16. So you're getting the Elite Eight. But yeah, it's I'm not melting down too much after the Baylor game. I think it's just a tough week. Losing in the Fieldhouse is so weird. I guess I was thinking earlier, going to ask you guys before the year, if I said you split with Baylor, you'd probably say, yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. I know Bill beats Scott Drew all the time, but it's always a good crowd out there or down there, and they have a really good, talented team. So we just felt like they couldn't sustain a lead or they couldn't pull away. And KU's offense was scoring the ball late in the second half, but then they couldn't string together stops. So couldn't get the lead back. They couldn't really extend a lead, and they never really had control of the game. So it just felt like a game they were never going to win. I mean, a lot of our fans going into it didn't think so. Not a lot of people thought Kev would play, but he ended up playing. I don't know. I guess they competed, but it wasn't enough. They didn't make threes. They couldn't finish around the rim, couldn't get stops. So,
yeah, I mean, the problem with, and we've said this a few times now, but the problem with losing to BYU at home and UCF and West Virginia is you now can't lose these games against Baylor. And so what I guarantee when we all kind of, made our predictions for the season, I don't know about us, AB, we had pretty high hopes, but Baylor's a loss, you just kind of circle and you're like, all right, at Baylor's probably a loss. Scott Drew has gotten to the point where he is, unfortunately, you got to respect him enough to think that, we haven't won there in a long time. So it's a loss that you expect, but it's also, it gets more frustrating when you just so badly need something good to happen. It feels like every season a Bill Self team has a game where it kind of flips the script a little bit, gets your hopes up, gets you excited, and we just have not had that moment yet. I missed all the first half. AB, we were talking before, you seem to not be too down on the team after this game, which is good. Where are you at post Baylor loss?
I mean, I still don't feel great about them, but I thought they looked better in that loss than they have in other ones, at least for long stretches. There were times where I genuinely thought that they were going to win the game. And it's weird to go into a game with KU hoops and not expect to win. I think they were a 6-point underdog. Is that right?
Yeah.
Maybe dropped when Kevin was active, but
didn't cover.
Of course they didn't. Sorry about that, brother. But I don't know, it's just everything's popping up. All the negatives are popping up. Bill's trying to figure out rotation-wise what to do. He went with the platoon twice in the first half, and boy, was it just bad. And there's not really much you can do because obviously you want your 5 guys on the court at the same time, and they can't all play 40 minutes a game. But when you're rolling out a lineup with Elmarco Jackson, Nick Timberlake, Jamari McDowell, KJ Adams, and Parker Brown, that's not going to end well, and it didn't end well. Baylor immediately went on a 7-0 run and took the lead back after we were up 5 or 3, whatever it was. And that happened twice in the first half. So individually, there are things that I'm excited about. I thought Kevin looked good. I thought Hunter around the rim was good. He had 4 blocks again. But I don't know, man. I don't see it with this team in terms of a March run. I think it would have to take a lot of fortunate bracket breaking and selection committee help on, I guess, in a couple weeks from now. But
so the pessimist in me obviously says, like, yeah, why would we expect anything out of this team? You probably go down the Big 12 tournament, maybe win Wednesday night, but then you lose Thursday, then you win your first round game, you lose in the second round. That's what that's what you would tell yourself. But then you start to just think about this team. If you break it, if you want to create a spin zone, it's when this team has been fully healthy. They looked really good in the non-con, and I know we've said we can't judge teams based on 4 months ago, but a lot of these. So I don't know. Like, is there any route to say, okay, they were so good in non-con, so impressive at times, even the Houston game, they hit a gear that made you think they could win a national title. So, like, to me, it feels there's hope there because they've shown it. They've beat good teams, but it's kind of crazy to think about the difference. At least it feels like the difference in what we've watched these last few weeks compared to what we watched even against UConn and some of those early season games. So, but I'm still holding out hope that maybe we could get that team back if McCullar he looked good Saturday.
Yeah. I mean,
but my only response to that would be, have they ever done it this year 6 games in a row? They haven't won 3 games in a row in conference play this year, which is kind of crazy to say out loud. I don't think that's ever happened in the Self era. And then, like, even in non-con, they took Eastern Illinois to the final minute. Like, they even if they were winning, they had games where they didn't look very good, and we kind of just ignored it, thought they were sleepwalking. Maybe that's just what they were the whole time. I have no confidence that on any given night they can go out and beat someone. Sure, we've seen that this year, but I can't imagine seeing it in 2 out of 3 days, back-to-back weekends. Like, that just feels a stretch for me with them.
Yeah, that's why I think a lot of KU fans just talk about, like, just getting in a nice region and kind of the bracket breaking your way, matchup dependent, I guess. I mean, I know we talk about the Kentucky game a lot, but even them, they play really fast. They don't play defense. That was like the night where everyone, like Kev had a triple-double. Hunter was going nuts. DeJuan had a career high. So you saw them, but yeah, 6 nights in a row. I mean, yeah, there's one team that wins it every year, but I feel like every team that does win it in the tournament finds a way to escape an ugly game too. So if they can find a way to do that, like, say you're a 3 seed, you beat the 14, and then you play a 6 or 11, just fucking escape, get to the Sweet 16, give Bill a week off to prepare, and then the Sweet 16 record obviously speaks for itself. So I'd be happy probably with an Elite 8 at this point. I don't know. I guess. What
just
do you
give
guys?
Me hope. Yeah, I just want to feel something in the tournament. Like, even if it's a second half close game in the second round, like, I just want to be like, okay, win this game, and we'll be doing exactly what you're already doing, B-Turn, which is like Sweet 16. Give Bill a week to prepare. Like, but like, so
we felt so confident. I feel like in this team, in the non-con, going into conference play, like even our podcast. And the thing that's changed is El Marco not starting, but Furphy starting. So, like, why were we so confident then when you're obviously beating good teams? You beat Kentucky, Tennessee.
Well, I mean, McCullar was like playing, and he was one of the top 5 players in the country prior to getting hurt. So
like, I just feel like if you're a 3 seed, 2 or 3 seed in the tournament in March, like, how do you not have a chance? I'm not saying they will, but I was looking earlier. San Diego State, obviously, they go to the national title game last year. I think they were 75th offensively, according to KenPom, maybe worse. So, I mean, you can muddy it up, make it ugly, and throughout college basketball and find ways to win. Like, we talked about the Final Four, the seeds that made it. Last year was a 5, 9, and whatever. Yeah. But
yeah, I don't know. I mean, you can always go back to the reasoning of the NCAA tournament is a crapshoot most of the time, so anything can happen. But
yeah, someone Sorry, someone just talked about a 3 seed in March, and I was listening to something earlier, and I don't know how you guys feel, but someone was saying like the difference between being a 3 and a 4 is just massive, because obviously 4 you're gonna very likely play a 1 if you do make it to the Sweet 16, and then a 3. Like, how do you guys feel about that? Like the difference between being a 3 or a 4 in March. Do you think it's that big of a difference? Like if I guess when we come down to like Big 12 tournament where we need to win probably to lock up like a 3 seed, I don't know. I don't think we would get to a 2. Like, would you guys be annoyed if this team ends up being a 4 when they had all these big wins early in the year and were looking like they'd be a 1 or 2?
I mean, it certainly doesn't feel like we're playing at the level of a 2 or a 3 seed. So like that's part of what when you said, oh, if you're a 2 and a 3, like anything can happen. But to me, it's like if we're a 3, I can still see us being underdogs in that second round game. But as I'm saying that, maybe you may have some thoughts on this. I'm looking at the 6 seeds currently in bracketology. I've got us in the Sweet 16. I've already decided. We have switched. I'm in. I'm back in. Wisconsin, PU, Washington State, PU. I mean, Joe Yesufu, that's our guy, but no.
He's giving us 20 late shot clock bombs.
Texas Tech, heard they beat us one time, but won't be in their region. And then Clemson. Kidding me? Sign me up.
I think you can say that about like all of college basketball.
But you want to know what's funny? The 5 seeds, Kentucky. Wait, am I looking at the most updated?
Are you looking at Palms?
Yeah. Updated March 3rd, I guess. But like Kentucky's a 5 seed. BYU, South Carolina, Utah State. God, you're right though. B-turn, nobody scares me.
I think the 11 seeds would scare me more than the 6 seeds, to be honest. Like, can you see Indiana State? They were just talking about him in the comments. The crazy dude. Can you not see him dominating against us in the second round game in a 3 versus 11?
Princeton. Oh my God, Princeton best.
Yeah.
Or what if Michigan State has another loss or 2 and they finish as like an 11 seed and we get them in the second round, January, February?
I actually kind of like that. I think that would get our juices flowing a little more than like an Indiana State team would.
I really could see like a repeat Final Four of a bunch of random ass seeds. Wasn't last year, maybe I'm wrong, but wasn't it like the first year a 1 seed hadn't made the Elite 8?
It was bad.
Last year?
Yeah. So obviously the tournament's really, and I don't know how you guys feel about the Big 12 as a whole. Like no team in the Big 12 even scares me, or I even think they're a legit title contender. Like I know Houston metrically,
I think Houston
analytically,
Houston.
They're going to be in every game, but I don't know. I guess I'm just saying if the Big 12 people think Big 12 is the best conference in the country, like I don't think college basketball is that good as a whole at all. So I'm not just going to sit there and say this team's going to beat us. This team's going to beat us. Like teams can play like absolute shit in March. It could be 50, 56, 51 or something like that. So I don't know. I've maintained that I feel fine when Kev's playing because our starting 5 is really good, I think. I don't know how you guys feel. I'm kind of starting to worry about Furphy.
Oh, this is a tough scene.
It is a tough scene. I thought about that earlier.
We thought this team was going to be such a wagon, dude. Yeah, I mean, I think the Big 12
2-7 on the road.
Yeah. I think Houston's really good. I don't think Baylor's that good. So yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with you on the whole Big 12. Like that's why this even frustrates me more is because our losses, we weren't, other than at Iowa State, at Baylor, I don't think any of these teams, I guess kind of at Texas Tech, none of these teams were that good. Like that, it's just a bunch of really mediocre teams, I think, that beat up on each other. And that's why Houston, I think, is going to end up winning the league by, I mean, if Iowa State loses Saturday, does Houston win the league by 2 full games? So, I don't know. We can get into bracketology and who we want and all that stuff. I did want to have this conversation. Obviously, we lose Saturday. Meltdown's on. Fair. I'm not going to judge anyone for melting down anymore. it is what it is. We're Kansas fans. This is truly, I mean, me showing up on Wednesday at the Big 12 tournaments, like, I can't fathom it. It makes me want to vomit. So
Thinking about us being the 6th seed is wild.
and we're going to be a 3 in the NCAA tournament.
If you like after non-con, if you sat there and looked at me and said this team's going to be the 6th seed in Kansas City for the Big 12 tournament, I would die laughing. Like
I would have thought like self-retired and
dude, even as of like 3 weeks ago when we were number 1 in the conference after we beat Houston, we're like, oh, we're so back. We're all the way back, baby. And like
we had Kstate the next that Monday.
That was a fun one.
But what I was going to say is like Meltdown was on Saturday and you're seeing all the stuff of, man, KJ's got to go. And look, I think there's a couple. It's fair to say that DeJuan and KJ and Hunter and this lineup just doesn't fit. We've said that all year. It's a weird fit. It's not fair to be like KJ's not good and KJ shouldn't be on this team. So the Meltdown was on, and then you're seeing, oh, well, Hunter needs to just go. I don't want him to come back. He said today he's up in the air. He doesn't know what he's going to do. He's going to give a speech, but he doesn't know if he's going to be back. And I see people being like, oh, let him go. We don't need him. And AB, I don't know where you exactly stand, but you seem to.
Know. Yeah, you know.
Well, the more I'm saying it, there's no way you're telling me right now. I tell you, you get to choose. Hunter comes back. Hunter doesn't come back. Which one are you picking?
I think it's Hunter. And look, this isn't anything against him. He's really good. But in terms of the roster next year, if it's back with KJ, DeJuan, and Hunter as 3 of the 5 guys, it's not going to be any different than it is this year. And it's kind of crazy to me that no one like you're saying that we can go out. But you're saying that we can go out and get this elite combo guard that can get to the rim and shoot the ball really well. This isn't fucking 2K. It's not create a player where we can just go create this prospect.
What are you going to do then? Who's going to play the 5?
That's kind of how I feel about Hunter.
AJ?
Yeah. It's going to be a complete question mark at the 5. But then last year, everyone was upset that KJ was playing the 5, and the staff was saying he's playing out of position. And we were saying we need to go get a center, and then we get a center, and then now I feel like you can't just fill Hunter's. You can't just randomly grab someone from the portal or a freshman and just see if he's good or if he fits. Like what you have in Hunter.
This is not the problem. It's not Hunter though.
I'm not saying it's Hunter, Ryan. I'm very clearly not saying this is on Hunter Dickinson. I'm just saying that we know how much Bill Self loves KJ Adams, and we know how much Bill Self loves DeJuan Harris. And if you have Hunter with them, that will not fit. It just won't. I don't care that Steph Curry and Klay Thompson on the wing. It won't matter.
Explain to me the lineup you want to see next year without Hunter Dickinson at the 5. What's the ideal lineup?
I would rather run it back out with KJ as a stretch 5 that can kind of just open the floor up and get 4 shooters. We saw that last year, and we say that it wasn't very good. We were so much better last year than this team is this year. Maybe not individually talented, but as a team, last year's team was a 1 seed. We thought they had an argument to be the number 1 overall seed. Like going into Selection Sunday, before we lost to Texas in the Big 12 championship, if we won that game, we might have been the number 1 overall seed. And maybe like we obviously we look back on that team with blinders and glasses because they lost in the second round and they had all the shit go down with Bill, Norm Roberts coaching. Like it wasn't ideal. And yes, KJ is not a perfect center, but KJ isn't going anywhere either. So like one way or another, you're going to have to make it work with KJ. The only option of those 3 guys to leave is Hunter. And it's not against him. I'm not saying that I think he's the issue. I'm not saying that he's not good or wouldn't be successful as the lead guy. I'm saying that I don't want to try again and hope that transfers come in because we're going to find a guy like Nick Timberlake that everyone's excited for. And those guys can fall on their face.
I would
rather run it back. We could KJ at the 5.
Sure, we would.
A 6'7" center that isn't a center or rim protector.
So explain to me your lineup next year. Your ideal lineup next year is DeJuan Harris, Elmarco Jackson.
Elmarco's gone.
Okay, so DeJuan Harris and no transfer portal guys. So Jamari McDowell.
What are we talking about?
You said you don't want to run it back with transfer guys. So like, what is your ideal starting lineup next year? If combo guards aren't possible, if it's not possible to go find a scoring guard, what is the lineup next year?
Well, what my argument is against running it back with the 3 instead of just the 2 is that you're going to have to find guys that are better and more productive than Kevin McCullar and Johnny Furphy. And if you think we can find that,
No,
okay.
well,
I just don't see how KJ at the 5 would solve things offensively.
I don't
You would
know
just
that it
what?
would, but
You
you know
would
what
just,
else
like,
wouldn't
pull
solve
shooters and
anything
have him
offensively?
crash?
Is
But
running it back with the KJ and Hunter in the lineup at the same time. Like that's not going to solve anything either.
I feel like Bills had a lot of high-low teams.
In
I'm just
2007, yeah, it's not really basketball anymore, though.
and I'm not even trying to argue here. I'm just actually trying to see a way that, okay, let's say your idea goes the way you want it to, which we end up with, let's say KJ at the 5. And so then you have DeJuan at point guard. And if we assume and we agree Furphy's gone and we think Marco's gone, that means you've got to go get, let's assume Jamari McDowell's back. So he's maybe starting. So then,
Well, they're going to get a
to
top
me, I
5
think we
freshman.
are right back to where we need to be, which is you got to go find scoring guards. And so in my mind, if you're going to go find scoring guards regardless, why would we not want the guy averaging 20 and 10 on that lineup? Like in that lineup with these scoring guards. If either way, we got to go find scoring guards.
Because we have scoring guards right now and we see how it works.
Do we know who the scoring guards?
I mean, Ryan, I know we're not super high and like it's not the most efficient. Kevin still averages almost 20 points a game. Johnny Furphy, since he starting, he's averaged what? Probably 10 a game. Like, it's not like we have bums with him right now. They may not be the right fit for this lineup, but like at the end of the day, it's not like they're not productive. They might be our top 2. They're definitely our top 2 options on the outside, but they're 2 of our 3 best options to score the ball overall.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like we all knew, like, you got to surround Hunter with shooters. And I mean, we don't shoot it well. We don't have anyone that shoots it. I think you surround him with shooters and you just feed him in the post and he can dish out of double teams really well. I think we could have an awesome team. But who do you guys consistently trust to knock down jumpers right now? Like, I think Johnny Furphy's been awesome, but lately I think he's struggling a little bit, going through a little slump. My worry with him right now, I just don't see him taking over a basketball game. And I don't expect him to. I don't think that's his role. I know he's gonna play in the NBA next year, but I don't picture Johnny Furphy taking over a game. So you can't really trust him to do that. But yeah, our guards we just don't attempt threes, honestly. Like we don't shoot threes, and I feel like it's so tough to win basketball games these days if you can't shoot it. Like it just thinking about the speed and level that UConn played at last year when they won it all, just is scary because we're like not close to that.
Yeah, so I guess I feel like McCullar, you're right, AB, he is a good scorer, but he doesn't fit. So like in my mind, how do you go? I think it's realistic to say, can we go find a guy similar to McCullar that averages 16 to 20 a game, but instead of being a slasher that drives to the bucket and gets majority of his points driving and getting the free throw line, can we not go get I just saw the name in the comments, but like, not that this is realistic or anything, but like that RJ Davis from North Carolina. Not going to be a transfer guy, but like that style of player. Like, is it inconceivable to be like, we could go get a different style of guard to pair next to DeJuan, like a Remy or a RJ Davis or just a far better scoring type guard? And yeah, the Davis dude from FAU is going to be an option apparently. But like, I get that this group doesn't fit well together, but I'm not totally convinced it can't somewhat work if you put different types of players with Hunter, KJ, and DeJuan. I
guess I'm just worried about like how many of those are going to be available and how many of those, like, I think we're a little blinded based off of Hunter was just a transfer and he's an instant All-American. I don't think those are going to come around every single year. Like, yeah, there's going to be options. There's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just like souring on the idea of it because of how it looks now. But I don't know, man. I just don't have any, and I don't have any confidence in those. It's not that I don't think they're
so
good.
weird,
You guys
too.
know damn well I love KJ and DeWan.
Yeah,
They're like two of my
absolutely.
favorite Jayhawks ever. And Hunter is going to be an All-American this year. So like I'm not trying to say any of them are bad or any of them are like not I'm not going to complain if they decide they want to come back. But I'm horrified that trio, it's going to take a lot of luck. And if you guys want to play the lottery game and hope that we can find those guys in the transfer portal that fit perfectly, but I'm not saying that's bad. I don't think either option is good. Does that help my argument at all?
Yeah. Okay, that's what I was going to say. Either way,
we're going to go out and win a natty. And if one way happens, we have a chance to go to a Final Four. If another way doesn't, we're a first round exit. Like I don't see it that way. But like I don't know that either set in any combination will have me excited going into next year, thinking we can go in and win a championship.
That's another thing with me too, is like if you go and try to get another ball handler or a combo guard, are they going to want to come here when Hunter's getting so many touches every game? The ball's going to be in DeWan's hands all the time. Like, are we going to be able to go? I know we got money to do it, which is wild to talk about, but I don't know. And I'm sitting here thinking too, like, is this team really that bad? Or are we just really spoiled? Because they're like top 20 on KenPom, and we've beaten a lot of good teams. But then, yeah, the spacing obviously is an issue. We've seen the screenshots. So I don't know if it's one of those things where Bill would just figure it out with KJ and Hunter. But yeah, like I think we've all three thought it. Like those three, you would think are all going to be back, and there's no way any of them are getting benched.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of if a guard would come here, because Hunter, I mean, Bill loves feeding the post, and a low-key name that none of us even knew about last offseason was Boogie Ellis at USC. I guess I didn't even know, but we really went hard after him. And I think that would be a perfect guy next to DeWan who can just flat out score it. And then we have a couple freshmen coming in, Rakis, LeBaron, but I have no idea what to expect from freshmen that we get.
Yeah,
you would have thought El Marco would be an All-American, and you would have thought, yeah, Johnny Furphy will play sparingly. Now Johnny Furphy's maybe a lottery pick. El Marco, we're talking about transferring. Like,
I think it's crazy to expect a bunch of like we've learned with Self, they've got to be like a top 5 type talent to come in and make a huge impact as a freshman. But yeah, I think it goes back to what AB kind of ended with. If you don't want Hunter back, then you got to kill it in the transfer portal to build around, whether that's Flory or KJ. If you do get Hunter back, you still got to kill it in the transfer portal. So it's like,
can you imagine having this combo after non-con, or like how excited we were when we got him? I still think he's a good player. The fact that some KU fans do want that is just wild to me. Like we talked about best transfer of all time, and now I don't know, like, because how do you automatically replace a Hunter Dickinson with someone that's going to be better or make this team better?
You don't.
And you
imagine
can't start
if Flory,
center.
You can't start a 6'7" center, and you can't. Actually, I'm more open to the idea of playing KJ at the 5 than I am thinking Flory's going to come in. I don't want to put that on Flory.
Exactly.
Because imagine this fan base midway through next year when Flory's not developed. He's still getting used to the speed of the college game. The strength's not there. He'll be a beast one day, but it ain't going to be in the first half of next year, or really probably at all next year. So then guess who's starting at the 5? It's going to be Zach Clements. And if this fan base is ready for a Zach Clements at the 5 experiment, then maybe. But yeah, I'm more open to KJ maybe you run back. I think Hunter's going to be back.
Yeah.
And I think we are being I think this could be figured out. I just think we got really unlucky with this offseason. Timberlake being this bad was like, it's truly there's no way you could have projected him being this bad.
Yeah, the offseason was just kind of a nightmare. And the depth thing is terrible too. Like there's guys we thought would contribute and play that couldn't even, like El Marco.
Bring him back.
El Marco couldn't even see the floor late against BYU. Like Nick Timberlake had to play because El Marco wasn't provided. Also, was how much of a I guess spark was El Marco on Saturday? Like, how much do you guys have any more confidence in him going forward? He stepped into 2 jumpers, nailed them, and then hit another midi. But he had 5 fouls somehow in like 12 minutes. But he confidently shot some jumpers. I mean, you got to almost look at anything right now. I feel like we sound really spoiled and think this team like really sucks. But I think if they click, be fine. And I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I almost want to play Wednesday, which we're gonna. But I want this team to get some momentum, start rolling. Sure, we could lose on Wednesday because we've proved we can lose to anyone in the league. But I want them to pick up some momentum. Kev getting back to speed, getting back to 100%, win that game, play Thursday against a good team, and just try to get hot because that's what scares me right now is I want to talk myself into this team. But we're here in March and they're not playing their best basketball and not peaking. So I feel like I got to see a little something before the big tournament.
I've had that thought, like find something in the Big 12 tournament, maybe win one Wednesday. It's not as
or lose. Get some rest.
I saw that take too, and like I can't disagree more. I think it is crazy to be like, oh, I hope this team goes 1-1 and loses Wednesday in the Big 12 tournament. What are we talking about? This team needs to see wins more than anybody needs to see wins. And the rest thing, I get it. Bill Self plays the shit out of these guys, and they do need rest. But, like, you know what team got a ton of rest heading into the NCAA tournament? The 2017 Kansas Jayhawks that lost to Oregon.
They sure did.
We're going to play the Cincinnati Bearcats on Wednesday, aren't we?
Or K-State. It could be a Sunflower Showdown.
Oh, yeah.
Why did you say it like that?
I was going to ask you guys,
at a neutral.
Like toward the teams towards the bottom of the league, like I guess who would you be the most scared of, or who could you see us losing to?
Braden, I mean this.
I know. That's why, right when I asked that, I knew you were going to say that.
Anyone but Oklahoma State, but I don't know how possible that is because are they locked into dead last?
Are we gonna? Yeah, I mean,
but also if we're healthy and clicking, can we not? You guys are down on this team, but can we not win the Big 12 tournament, like, or at least make the championship?
Braden, here's the other thing. When I saw that we were going to be the 6th seed in the current bracket, I've absolutely talked myself into going to the championship game.
6 seed's the route. We've already.
There's a path. There's a path. You beat whoever's shit staying on Wednesday. You beat Baylor at home. You beat. You play Iowa State. Now that's a tough one. Iowa State in the semi-home game for the Cyclones because it's their.
But you need Iowa State to get upset. That could happen.
Maybe.
It could happen. Sound like the kid from.
Yeah, it is funny that we both looked at the bracket and we're like, this is how we could win the Big 12 tournament.
We're deranged.
I'm just saying that just for the league, like throughout the league, I could make a case for 3 or 4 teams, I feel like. I mean, definitely Iowa State and Houston, Baylor, and then who would be your 4th in the Big 12 right now? Who's the 4th best team? Would you say it's us still? Or would you go with like a BYU? Tech ain't better than us, are they? I know they freaking.
BYU is going to lose their first game in the Big 12 tournament.
Like who
I
do you
cannot stand that BYU has not hit a shot in the world in the last 2 games outside of the Kansas game.
I think they hit every single shot after you sent that screenshot the other day.
Well, I think they shot 39% against us.
That's it.
Well, but they made 14 threes or whatever.
Well, they shoot 100.
True.
I'm very still triggered about that loss. I mean, we missed 6 for 15.
God. There was one thing I wanted to say. I forgot what it was. Damn it.
Can we talk about, we got off the track of like lineups and next year, and I don't really want to get into next year, but I do want to bring up Johnny.
30 seconds timeout. BYU scored 58 points in the second half against ECU on Saturday.
So yeah,
the second half, 58-29.
I literally texted in to AB and Allen or whatever, and I was like, of course BYU isn't making any. I mean, they made nothing in that first half, but whatever. Okay, that makes me feel better. But I want to talk about Furphy. I was triggered on Saturday when we're down double digits with 5, 6, 7 minutes to play, and we're just sitting Furphy. Not even giving a guy that can make the one shooter on this team that anyone trusts. Not even giving him looks. And I think some would say he was getting cooked defensively, and I think he was. But then I would look down and say, did our defense improve when he left the floor? And I do not know the answer to that. But it didn't feel like it. It did not feel like we had a single stop. And that's another thing.
And it was constantly easy looks. It was open jumpers. It was floaters. It was layups.
So, AB, explain to me, we are a top 10 defensive efficiency, and I get it. Like, I think we get really, a lot of fans are acting like defense is the problem. And I think you, brought that up on Saturday on Twitter. You, were like, this is a top 10 team, or you sent a screenshot. But the team does not get stops when they need to get stops. It's very weird. I don't really understand it, because that's why I think this is why you were so high on this team, maybe, and it's why I was so high on this team. I thought they were going to be an incredible defensive team. And I just don't understand why they are so far from, they're a top 10 team, but they're very far from incredible.
Yeah, they don't look like a top 10 defense. And it's the same thing we've seen for years, giving up open threes. But the thing that was, and maybe I just haven't been paying attention enough, the pick and roll defense on Saturday was just horrendous. And yeah, I'm not going to lie, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if that's on Hunter for hedging too far and not getting back fast enough. I don't know if it's on the backside help with El Marco trying to take a charge after Misi already had the ball in the fucking rim.
I hate that guy.
Dude. Let me ask you this. Did you see his dunk on the first play of the game?
No.
I know you weren't watching. It was Blake Griffin. And I had someone text me right when that happened. It was literally the first 20 seconds of the game. And he jumps over, I think, KJ, and literally throws the ball into the hoop. And one of my friends texted me, he's like, yeah, there's no reason to play the rest of this game. You just don't come back from that. But I don't know.
He's the worst basketball player I ever watched in the Houston game.
That's what's so annoying, dude. He was so good on Saturday. And it was predictable that he would be because of what we watched against Houston. But it's just so frustrating that it feels like that's always happening to the Kansas basketball Jayhawks. And it kind of fits the point that maybe this team isn't as good defensively as the analytics say it is. I guess. And who knows with those websites? I'm sure it's averaged over all the games. And there's been games where we've given up 60 points and 50, in the 50s. I don't know.
Up 90.
Yeah.
So this team's so weird. I really almost truly think they can beat any team in the country, but they could get in a dog fight against almost any team in the country, shitty teams. Also, I was just looking at Furphy, 6 for his last 27 from 3, 22%. He's not getting many open looks either. I feel like teams are kind of starting to figure out how to guard him. And our offense can't be very hard to stop. You run the pick and roll. You dare them to beat you hitting jumpers, and they don't. They won't take them. So if a team hits 10 plus threes against us in a tournament,
it's over.
Yeah.
and they probably will. Teams are going to take 30 attempts, 20 something.
20.
And it's just so easy to prepare for this team. Especially, I'm sneaky scared of a first round game. And I know, AB, you've had that on the map, but give a coach a week to just dig into film and know how to attack take the ball away from Dickinson. And now you're I can just see we can all envision the tournament loss. It's going to be we're just going to be running around, running offense, but not actually running any offense. That seems to be what happens when we lose. It's just a bunch of dribbling around, running the offense, but there's nobody looking to score unless Dickinson's getting the ball in the post. And I think that, I guess, when Kevin's back, that improves a little bit. But BYU, that was the second half. It was just dribbling around and then throwing something up that was a garbage attempt. I've lost my train of thought thinking how bad this offense looks sometimes. But
positives looking towards the future is AB's starting five. AB's starting 5-man had 1 rebound on Saturday. So
Dude.
which was in the final 30 seconds on a free throw
how's
where
that
not a single
possible?
person was around. That's why I tweeted. It seems borderline impossible for the most athletic man on the basketball court who's 6'7" to just not get any rebounds.
It's crazy because I said the same exact sentence about Andrew
23
Wiggins
in the
when he
whole
was at
game.
KU.
Yeah. But the difference is Wiggins was very clearly timid. Like,
Yes.
KJ's so aggressive when he dunks on offense. So it's like, why? What am I missing? And I don't know ball well enough to know what makes a good rebounder, but why can't he be Dennis Rodman?
Yeah, because Hunter boards, obviously, but his vertical's less than 10 inches.
Mm-hmm.
So why you would think
he dunked on
I wonder what
Saturday.
he's
It's
averaging.
good for him.
What's KJ averaging boards? 4.5 boards this year.
It's crazy.
But it's like there's
He's
no
always
way.
defending the perimeter.
Kev's not. Yeah, but it's like Kev's the same height. He can't jump
Mhm.
higher than KJ. I don't know. And that's the thing that kind of annoys me too with Baylor on Saturday. Is like they weren't really knocking down jumpers consistently. They only hit 7 threes. It just, like what Rice said, it really felt like they could not get a stop late. So I didn't walk away from that game very disappointed. It's just how things have been going lately. I still think that the starting five is capable of beating anyone. You might need some luck, or you're going to need some luck in the tournament always, no matter what. But you need, from a matchup standpoint.
So Kyle has pointed this out about the KJ stuff, and like, I don't know, B-Turn, I'm sure you've done it. AB, I know you've done it because we've been on the same parlays before. When you need KJ Adams to get some rebounds for a bet to win, and you start locking in and watching him, because like that's when you need a guy to get 3 more rebounds with 5 minutes left in the game, all you're doing is watching him. He's not even close, not even in the ballpark of getting these rebounds. And like, that's what I'm saying. It sounds like he's just never in position to get these boards. But
I noticed a couple times on Saturday he was going after the ball, not going after the man that he needs to be blocking out, and Baylor ended up getting an offensive rebound. So maybe he does that all the time, which is frustrating because that's like fucking 9-year-old basketball stuff that you learn. But I don't know, dude.
I think we have to talk about the wildest scenario that's gone on this season, and it's obviously the Kevin McCullar stuff.
I've got stuff on this.
Goes from Wednesday night, I don't know if he'll be back, to literally playing 3 days later in Waco against a ranked team. So I don't know what's going on there.
Oh, wrong one. Sorry. I'm sorry, B-Turn. I had to flash this one up there. That picture of KJ contesting the 3 from 10 feet away. I mean,
why is KJ in?
He's so far away. But I love him for that. Like, that was just a guy that was like, I am not screwing this up. But sorry.
What was I talking about?
McCullar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, I don't even want to question his toughness or if he wants to play or doesn't. But you're telling me he couldn't have played Tuesday night against BYU?
A lot of Kyle Filipowski vibes coming out of that story. I'm not going to lie. Which sucks after
That
we made
is
fun of him for a
absurd.
week.
Like I think we had some takes last week. I'm not sure exactly what we said, but I think we debated him being out for the season, absolutely being out for the regular season. I mean, Bill has said multiple times we don't know if he'll be back. And then he literally plays Saturday, has 20 points, took the most field goal attempts by a wide margin, 19.
Played 32 minutes.
And
he
he looked
scared
solid.
to chuck it. But
like, dude,
I think it was clear when Bill, like, it was odd. We even commented, like, Bill's been pretty agitated. Obviously, we've been losing, but the way he's talked about the McCullar injury and the way he's said these things, it's come from like an agitated, annoyed feeling more than like a man, wish we could get Kev feeling better so we could get him back. Like, it was clear something was off, and then Vern obviously reported that there was a line drawn in the sand. Bill essentially told him after Tuesday, like, either play or you're like, shut it down altogether. But we got to know one way or the other.
Did you hear Bill today when asked about Kevin?
No.
I can't remember who asked, but they asked about Parker and Kevin, and he answered for Parker first, saying he's getting treatment, and we'll see if he practices today. If he doesn't, he probably won't play tomorrow. If he does, we'd love to have him back out there. And then when talking about Kevin, you could just clearly tell there was a change in tone. And it was like, Well, I don't really know. I haven't really talked to him about it. I haven't seen him about it, but I haven't heard anything bad to say that to suggest that he wouldn't practice today. So I assume he'll be good to go tomorrow. And he just like that, just me saying it probably doesn't come across as how I took it from Bill, but you could tell this just with the sense of tone and attitude with how he answered the questions about the two guys, between one being a 10 minutes a game bench role and another guy being a one-time All-American on this team. Like it's something feels very weird.
Yeah, vibes are weird, very weird. But
it makes me question what other games he could have played. And I know we talked about how you want to win the Big 12, but it's not the most important thing at the end of the day. But like, how many games that he missed could he have played in? And does that cost you a seed line? I know the difference between a 2 and a 3. Like, who knows if it's going to matter or not? But you would think he wants to play for his draft stock too, right? Like, is this not the most important? You're playing in the best league in the country and against some of the better teams in the country. And I don't know. The way he played Saturday, there's no way he couldn't have played against BYU. Maybe they thought they could escape, but you can't lose at home. And that could be probably the reason we do end up playing on Wednesday. I know Tech could have. Tech probably would have, but.
Yeah, and it's not even the loss it's also just like this team so badly has needed to get help, like get things figured out as a team. We were starting Timberlake, and then you're starting El Marco, and we just needed this group back. And if he was at any point clear to play, which sounds like he's been cleared since OU, how are you not playing, dude? Like this, I know we're sitting here melting down about this team, but like after that OU game, if he plays, and we even looked really good against Texas, you cannot convince me that this team, if he continues to play the next week, we kill Texas like we did. We beat BYU if he plays, and you cannot convince me if this team would have just seen 3 straight wins that they could have not gone in and played a little better against Baylor and won that game and like found something. But it just feels like this unknown on his whole situation has also hurt this team that was already struggling as it was. And that's just, and I think that's why Self is pissed. Like, he knows that this team's got a lot to figure out. And if you don't even know what you're going to be rolling with heading into March, then that's really tough to figure things out. So
I'm currently getting very triggered about this. Because there's no judgments on Kev. Like, I love that. I love how hard he plays. And that's why even questioning his toughness or anything at all seems wild to me. Because we've known Kevin McCullar since before KU. The way he played, like going after every loose ball, like the ultimate competitor. It just blows my mind if he was the one wanting to sit these games. And it kind of sounds like he was. And I can't believe that, because like there's a reason he came back. He knows the tradition and history and how crazy our fans are. Like, why would he want to miss regular season games at Kansas? Like, a blue blood, one of the best schools in the country, getting a chance to play inside of Allen Fieldhouse whenever, it's just really confusing to me. And I feel like if it came out later that he was like just wanting to sit games, like that would just rub me the wrong way.
Yeah, and I think, these dudes have people in their ears like crazy around this time of year. And I think there was something too, prior to McCullar getting hurt, he was one of the best players in the country. He got hurt. He looked kind of rough there for a few games in Big 12 play. I wouldn't doubt that there was someone saying, hey, if you shut it down, you can just look back and say that you had an awesome year until you got hurt. That's what you'll tell teams in meetings at the draft, and like you'll be fine. But if you keep playing hurt and you keep playing like you did in Manhattan, well, now you're ruining your draft stock. So it's like it probably is a little bit of a risk for him, but I don't think Kevin McCullar is a good enough draft prospect to just sit out the final month of the season and not prove anything when he's 23 years old. Like, he's already old as it is. I've seen people when he's been in lottery before, people are like, you cannot take a lottery pick that's 23 years old. And so that's already going to be going against him. So I don't know.
This is like the time of the year where you make your money. That's why I don't get it. So I'm interested to see what he looks like going forward or what's going on. I was in and out of the game on Saturday, so I really don't have an answer to this, but did he look pretty close to 100%. When you
His
guys watched,
confidence looked 100%.
yeah,
He wasn't scared to shoot.
he was getting to the rim at will too. It felt like, right? Late, he missed a couple layups, but
Dude, can we talk
that's
about
another
Fran
thing
too?
Is like if Kevin plays on Tuesday against BYU, you knock the rest off, and then you're probably even better in Waco. I know he had like 20 points, but
that's what I'm saying. I think if
I don't
Kevin
get it.
plays against Texas and BYU, we could have figured something out by now. What'd you just say, AB?
I kind of want to talk about Fran.
Not what I thought you were going to say. Go ahead.
First of all, he kept saying, he mentioned it multiple times, and we talked about it on Saturday while it happened. The fact that he said on multiple occasions that Kevin McCullar missing a layup is a 1 out of 100 shot, when we've seen it 100 times this year alone. That one just kind of sat with me. The other thing I have about the broadcast, where are John Shambi and Fran Fraschilla getting this narrative that KU and Baylor is all of a sudden this like giant rivalry in the college basketball national scope? They said it over and over and over that this was one of the best rivalries in sports. And like, I guess it's always competitive because both teams are always good. I do not one iota view Baylor as a like team that I hate, a team that I dislike, a team that I care about unless we're playing against them. It was just a little bizarre to me that they kept saying it and they were so confident. I've never heard that before in my life.
I think it might have to do with winning back-to-back natties. Honestly, I don't know what else. Like,
haven't.
Scott Drew has always kind of bothered us. He's just a goofball. Like Ryan
but it's not even like bothering us.
But yeah,
Bill's his dad.
Yeah, that's never been an issue. Like, it's never been an issue at Allen Fieldhouse. Like, it's usually a ranked matchup. Like, even in 2020, that was electric. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there've been great games, but I've never even once. I would say like Iowa State. Honestly, like the games in Hilton, they beat us at Allen. The games at the Big 12 tournament in KC. So I've never.
But I think that's
program. But
the problem with it is like think back to all the KU Baylor games over the years. How many games do you look back and say that was an all-time classic? That was a game that there's like 2020, and that's for us for Baylor. Like we won that game.
2020 and 2017. 2017.
2017.
Josh.
But like there's been so many games against these teams as top 10 teams, top 25 teams. And to just have so many that have been lopsided, it's just, I don't know. It doesn't.
It felt like they were so confident in the stuff they were saying on Saturday, and none of it, like even you brought up the Kevin thing on layups, like I'm not even knocking on Kevin at all. But I mean, college basketball players miss layups, contested layups where they get bumped. He like thought it was like the end of the world that Kev missed a bunny. He said it like multiple times. That would happen once out of 100 times, John. Like what
I used to be such a Fran defender, basketball. But that guy is a little twerp, man.
Yeah,
I cannot defend him anymore. He is an annoying little man.
You didn't even see the worst part of him on Saturday when he was talking about they called Dickinson for a foul when he ran through a screen. And look, I don't know what the correct call is, but he was like, Dickinson made contact there. Of course that's a foul. That's not a flop. I'm like, what do you exactly expect him to do? If a guy is setting a screen on Hunter Dickinson and Hunter Dickinson runs, he didn't even like lower his shoulder or anything. He just kind of like ran to try and get around it. And the guy fell over because Hunter Dickinson's a foot taller than him.
He said something about a flop.
Yeah. He was like, it's not a flop if there's contact. What does that mean, Fran? What? We see flops when there's contact every day in basketball. Like it's just, and again, I don't know what the correct call would have been. It was annoying that it was called. It felt kind of ticky-tack in a game that they weren't really calling a lot of ticky-tack fouls. I think Baylor committed 4 fouls in a 30-minute span on Saturday.
How many have we lost in a row at
Baylor? We haven't won since the Doak game in 2020. But you just brought that up about the fouls and the free throws. I saw an interesting I'm
not even like complaining saying it was bad. It was just like there were times that I saw it where it was like to call ticky-tack fouls like that and then to just like let everything go.
But I don't know if this is a real account. This guy's name is Zaza, friend of Bill Self on Twitter. So take this But he said Kansas currently sits at minus 29 free throw differential in Big 12 play. Pretty interesting for a team that doesn't shoot many jump shots, which that is, I mean, I think we can all agree Hunter Dickinson's, love him or hate him, he's got a bad whistle this year. Like, he doesn't get to the line. But the thing that's even crazier is when you go look at what Purdue is plus 153 free throw differential.
Including plus 153 in one game, I think. Right?
Yeah, against Northwestern. They were literally like 40 plus 40 in one game against Northwestern.
I said it earlier. I was in and out of the game on Saturday, but yeah, it was 18 fouls to 7. And Baylor fans and Scott Drew were just having an aneurysm after every call on them. They had 7 fouls in the entire game. That really seems pretty wild for a team that's around what defensively, AB? Like a team that doesn't play defense fouled 7 times in 40 minutes. I don't know. I don't know if it would have made a difference, but I just thought it was bizarre how much their fans were crying after.
Yeah, they were bad.
All 7 fouls were booed.
Okay. We got to talk about something good vibes. AB's going to like this conversation.
Fascinated to see where we go here.
Our boy Jerome Tang had an all-time quote today that I loved because
big second weekend game coming up this week.
It reminded me, like, this man is morphing into Bruce Weber. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. This is a quote, or not a quote. It's from Kellis Robinette, K-State reporter. He says, Jerome Tang said Kansas State treated its last game against Cincinnati like an NCAA tournament game. He is raising the bar for KU tomorrow. The Wildcats are treating the Sunflower Showdown like a Sweet 16 game.
Turn it up, baby. Turn me up.
I love that. That is such Bruce Weber, like, play hard. I don't even know how that is similar to play hard chart, but that's the type of energy I get.
Why that game, first off?
Which one?
Why is it a Sweet 16 game?
Because that's the biggest game that program has won in the last 60 years is a Sweet 16 game.
It's just like, yeah, it is. I didn't even think about it that way, B-turn. It's just like so funny. It's just like, you know what? It's like us as a kid in the driveway being like, you know what? This is a Sweet 16 game.
Mm-hmm.
This is like ball up, boys. Sweet 16, and he's just making it up as he goes.
Yeah, it's like you said, you're outside in the front yard, you're 8 years old, you're doing the countdown, you take the miraculous shot and you miss, and you're like, oh no, there was a foul, there's still a second left.
Run it back. Yeah.
Like what's so important about a Sweet 16 game, and why are the stakes higher now? It was for an NCAA tournament game and they lost, and now
it is very funny to, like, this quote would be so much better if they would have just beat Cincinnati. And then you're like, all right, boys, that was our first, our second round game. And now it's on to the Sweet 16. You lost. You're home. Your season's done. If Cincinnati was the tournament game, which, by the way, he was saying that was the tournament game because he felt like for them to make the tournament, they had to win. So, hey, listen. Jerome Tang, I like the guy because he also had quotes talking about how, like, Bill Self is the best coach in the country and, like, the fans are good. He's a good dude, but it just made me laugh that Tang is like, with the Iowa State stuff from early in the year and this stuff, it's like it's some Bruce Weber. You can't take the Bruce Weber out of that head coaching role, apparently.
Breaking news. Baylor Bears down double digits in the first half to the Longhorns. Can we pass them in the Big 12 standings?
Nope.
Why?
I don't know. I'm actually thinking of Iowa State.
They're 10-6.
I don't know what the tiebreakers are.
They're 10-6. We're 9-7. We split. I don't know what to go to. I'm just trying to think.
So the problem with this is we're not beating Houston on Saturday.
Oh, I was about to get into that.
We should talk more on K-State first, though, because that game's tomorrow. We're gonna fucking kill them, and we're gonna jump on this pod later this week because we're excited and we want to get on and chop it up with the boys. We're going to kill them, and we are going to talk ourselves in. I may not. I know at some point on this pod, after beating K-State by 25 tomorrow, we're going to hop on here and there's going to be a conversation about, is this team back? Is this team peaking at the right time? And is this team getting ready to go on a deep March run? And I need to say this right now. Don't take that much out of the K-State win tomorrow down Fieldhouse.
Oh, it's not a tournament team.
I'm sorry.
It's a Sweet 16 win, AB. How do you not? I mean, come on.
Bill Self never loses them.
Yeah.
Well,
That was a tough. We
Bold
should. Has anyone tweeted that Bill Self's Sweet 16 stats?
At least
quote of Tang's quote.
At least if Tang says Elite 8, K-State fans could have been like, well, good news is Bill Self's 4-9 in Elite 8 games. That would have been funny. That would have been good material.
They're not.
No, I can't see our fans really taking anything from that game, no matter what the outcome is. Because if you win by 20, be like,
oh, buddy.
And
right.
I mean, I'm just.
You've seen KU Twitter for 20 years. We know how this goes.
Well, I'm not even thinking about losing. I'm saying I don't see our fans getting like uber confident in our team if we win. It's Allen Fieldhouse. They beat us. Why?
Because we've seen it this year before.
But it's like that's against good teams.
Yeah, but
Dude,
more eyeballs are on the K-State game. Like when we smoked Oklahoma State or beat Cincy at home, like people were like, all right, this team's fine. They just need to see a win. We're going to go in and we're going to have confidence going into Saturday on a road. Like I promise you that there's going to be a subsector of Twitter that is all of a sudden completely – there still is right now. Well, there was a guy – and this was brought up in the press conference too. There's a guy that compared KU to the Chiefs. And I appreciate
Dickinson commented on that.
I know. Yeah. It was like, and they asked Bill about it after. Like, I don't want to sound like a dick. I hate that comparison. It's completely different. It was basically saying KU basketball can make a Chiefs-like run because they're not living up to expectations in the regular season and they can turn it on in the postseason. And then he went down and listed the like player comparisons, and he said Hunter Dickinson was Mahomes.
That was the one problem. Yeah,
that was the other ones were fine, but like Hunter Dickinson is not going to have the Patrick Mahomes effect to take over and just say that they're going to win the game and then go out and win the game, because Mahomes can do that. It doesn't matter who's around him. It doesn't matter where they're out on the field. He's going to go score in the final drive to make sure they end up with more points than the other team. Hunter Dickinson's not that kind of dog, and that's not the style that a center is going to play with ever in the tournament.
Someone said AB's got to get back on the Kansas train. I've been thinking the whole episode. Can you imagine the mental gymnastics his brain has went through this year on this team?
Oh, my God. It's been a roller coaster, boys.
But, okay, you brought up I'm with AB. If we go in and absolutely pummel K-State like 84-63.
Why would that impress our fans?
Because we just did that against Texas, and we all were like, we're back. Everyone thought this team was good. After the Texas game, at least I did. I fell for it.
AB said you can't take anything away from Allen, and I lived by that.
Listen, AB said this team's going to win 29 games, so we need to cool it on AB being the gospel. He got hot.
I did get hot. It's been pretty bad.
I mean, we're an 11-point favorite.
I know.
Tomorrow, like Texas was what 7, 8.
Okay, but what I wanted to say was
what would have to happen is kind of my thing. Like it would have to be personnel, right? It would have to be like a big El Marco game, or
I think a big Furphy game where he makes a bunch of threes. Kevin probably has a good game, and you start to say, well, wait, this team's starting to gel a little bit. But you know what I'm starting to talk myself into a little bit? Well, not really, but I'm starting to at least float the idea into my brain. Houston's going to wrap up the Big 12 this week. They're not going to have a whole lot to play for on Saturday. We're going to have a ton to play for, and we're going to beat K-State, and then we're going to walk into Houston with like Bill Self's whole pitch being like, hey,
Ryan,
it's about respect.
We've used this argument that Bill Self's due to win a road game for the last 6 road games, and it just doesn't happen.
This time, he's due.
My thing is we pumped them. They probably want to get us back, and it's senior day. They have seniors. I'm sure they do.
The problem is I think they lost at home on senior night last year.
But when you've
only by a couple, though, that's why they got
Actually, is Houston going to help their resume if we beat them by 3? Is that better than a win next Saturday?
Yeah, they'd rather lose by 3 than win by 27.
Yes.
No, but when you talked earlier about them winning the league by potentially winning the league by 2 games. I went and looked at scores. That's how I saw the Baylor score, but it made me instantly think that maybe it's just a sleepwalk game for them. I mean, yeah, you want to beat KU, but does it? I don't know. I guess
So
Kelvin will have them ready.
Yeah. Let's
I
just
think
talk
they're gonna
about
care
what
more
we're
about that game on Saturday than they do about the tournament in Kansas City the following.
I'm very I'm confident that'll be a game on Saturday. Maybe I'm crazy, but just screams Bill Self making it a game,
I
making
can't
it
believe you guys are
competitive.
doing this again.
Why?
We've said this every road game. It's just-
Oh, no.
Yeah,
I hope you guys
we're not
are
getting
right.
pumped. We got pumped once.
I think we get pumped.
I'm not saying we're winning at all. I
Yeah,
already
I
tweeted
just-
we're going 2-7 on the road, which some guy on this podcast said was impossible. Can't
I
happen.
did.
Won't do it.
Mhm.
Is there
We really
let's
screwed
just
up
for
the first
fun.
half of Big 12 play. That schedule we had.
Let's just for fun talk about what if let's just pretend AB don't get all riled up. Just let's pretend we win both this week. What are we saying next Sunday, Selection Sunday, as we're live stream? Next
Sunday.
week, Big 12 tournament. What are we saying as we head into Wednesday of the Big 12 tournament?
I can't believe we're playing Wednesday.
Like, I think Final Four is back on if we win both this week.
It depends, because if it's one of those situations you guys are hoping for where Houston doesn't have much to play for, then I think you could also use the argument to not take a whole lot out of that game.
Yeah, but if we win, we're never going to admit that. We're never going to be like, yeah, they sleepwalk.
That's just why I'm saying it out loud now. Like, I don't know. I think it would be a little false hope, because regardless, I know they put it together for 6 in a row.
If we win both this week, we got a pretty good shot to play Thursday, right?
Well, we have to have Tech lose and BYU
Tech has
lose.
Baylor, and BYU has a tough one during the week, I believe.
At Iowa State.
Yeah.
But Tech's got Baylor at Tech, don't they?
Tech has Oklahoma State.
Well, they're a wagon.
And Baylor. BYU, yeah. BYU's at Iowa State on Wednesday night, which I think Iowa State will kill them.
So I think BYU will lose.
Do we know if we want I can't believe we're talking about this, but do we know if we would want the 5 or 6? It looks favorable now, but Houston's the one.
You don't want the 5. You do not want the 5 because you're not beating Houston twice in a span of.
You don't want to play them either before the tournament.
I was going to argue.
And it would be twice in a week.
Could I argue I'd rather play Houston at T-Mobile than Iowa State at T-Mobile? You're going to have to beat them both anyways to win the Big 12 championship. But, I don't know that it's...
Love this. This makes absolutely no sense, but I love it. We need we need a sign language person to do our episodes down in the bottom right corner to...
Mm-hmm. Can I get a 30?
John F. said rich man if he would have listened to you this year.
Thank you, John.
Is that sarcasm?
What do you guys mean?
I mean, AB had a heater.
He's talking about the guy that picked 9 wins for KU football. He's talking about the guy that predicted the KU loss at K-State. He's talking about a guy that predicted the exact script of Houston at Allen.
I'm not even hating. I'm just wondering if that actually is, if he's being legit.
It's honestly probably 500-ish.
Because we got 40-0 takes from you. We got
29-2
starting the league.
I said we wouldn't lose in January, and we lost 3 days later.
Lost every game in January. It felt like.
All right, we're an hour and 10 minutes into this podcast.
You said no chance in hell we can lose down in Fieldhouse.
An hour and 10 minutes into this podcast, and we haven't mentioned this yet. Shouts to the Kansas basketball Lady Jayhawks. They're going to the tournament. They're going to finish with a better record than the men in the Big 12. I think we should talk about them for the rest of the time. And maybe later this week, too.
Is Kansas basketball the 3rd best athletics program at the school? People are asking.
The men, yeah.
Yeah, men's, yeah. Football, women's basketball, men's basketball.
Well, volleyball.
Man, volleyball is a wagon, too.
It sucks, man. I want to be a basketball.
Can I read off? I'm sure you guys saw this on Twitter, but since we're talking about AB's miss predictions and
but he hits them.
You got to hear this tweet I had just
Oh,
Just
this is the worst
on
tweet in history. of Twitter.
2/19/2024. I mean, you can't be more wrong than I was right here. I remember where I was when I whipped this up. I'm watching Big 12, Big Monday. I'm typing on my phone, and I go, Houston's going to lose at Baylor. Wrong.
Period.
ISU is going to lose to UCF. Actually,
Period.
comma. ISU is going to lose to UCF or KSU. They've already beat UCF. They're not going to lose to KSU. And Kansas is going to win their next 4, including a win in Waco. Kansas won, 2 of their next 4? Meanwhile, we will get a Kansas-Houston showdown on the final day of the season to determine if KU gets a share or if Houston wins outright. We're going to lose 9 conference games. And I had myself convinced that we were going to play Houston for a chance to share this title. And they have 3 losses. We're going to lose 9.
Mm-hmm. It's been nice to see them switch up the script from every other KU basketball season, though.
It's been tough.
Haven't really hit their peak yet.
It's been tough because, like B-Turn said, it would be such a Bill Self win to go in and win in Houston. And like we've said that every week.
We've all said it. This
is just not a Bill Self team. It's just not.
What games did we say that about, though? We probably said it about Baylor.
At Iowa State, I remember saying it. I was so convinced our season was going to flip at Iowa State.
It could have.
I said it a few weeks ago that at Houston was a game that Bill could win, and then things have gone downhill since.
I don't see why they have.
We keep losing.
Well, I know that. I'm just saying we have the same fucking players.
Oh, I thought you were like, why are you guys down on this team?
Well, it is kind of wild how spoiled we are because this is.
I'm so tired of the spoiled.
Don't roll your eyes, Ryan.
I'm so tired.
We're a top 10 team in the country.
Yeah, I know, but like the conversation is still the conversation. Do we think this team can win a national title? Probably not. So that sucks, and I'm going to stand by that.
Probably 50 teams in the field that can't.
Yeah, I know, and I don't enjoy being one of those 50.
What sucks is that it was the expectations for me.
Ruined.
The expectations were so high with this roster coming into the year where we were genuinely talking national championship aspirations. And I think that's what frustrates me. I can kind of sit back and be like, sports are going pretty well for us right now. Ryan, I know you're not as diehard Chiefs, but like, is what it is. But like with the expectations going into the year and seeing what it's turned out, that's I think where all the anger comes from with me.
Well, yeah, it's like B-Turn. If the Chiefs lose next year, if the Chiefs go, I don't know, 2 games above 500 next year and sneak into the playoffs and get blown out on a road in the first game of the playoffs, like, are you going to be like, it's all right, we're spoiled, we've won 3 Super Bowls? Like, no, you're going to be pissed because now you have a new,
Super Bowl or bust. But I mean, I feel like we all said it after 2022. We kind of got a long leash now with Bill. Like, I mean, how many years are you actually going to win it? I think we convinced ourselves 100% just a week ago that 2020 wasn't going to win it.
Well, AB did, and I presented the question.
We talked about it in Lawrence with Vernon.
I know, but I just presented the question because I've always wanted to see if anybody had an aggressive take about that and leave it to AB to
just saying.
I can't believe I got so much heat for that.
There's teams that make the tournament and come their pants like it's end of the world. Bill still will never be worse than a 4, and I still we have a chance no matter what with Bill. I'm not saying to win it all, but is making the Elite 8 a good year, or are you all in on winning a 16-team region no matter what before the season? You're making the Final Four. We've seen some of our most talented teams not get out of the first weekend.
At this point, I agree with you, Braden. But if we're talking about how we felt 3 or 4 months ago, I completely disagree.
It's just like when you've tasted the Final Fours and you've tasted national titles, you're never gonna you're never gonna get me excited for an Elite 8 season. Like, I'm sorry, and you can say this all you want, B-Turn, but I know if we lose an Elite 8 game this year, you will be pissed.
I want to win it all, but I just feel like you guys just know the takes after we lose.
Well,
people questioning Coach Self and
Yeah.
We talk about 2022, how that team was getting questioned weeks before winning it all. So, I mean, he always figures it out, and he can outcoach anyone in the country. I feel like, why a 3 seed in March that you don't have a chance to go on some sort of a run? You can't scratch off an Elite Eight game.
I think in your defense, or at least your line of thinking, it would be somewhat refreshing to just go into the season or go into March truly with no expectations, or really of expectations of losing in the second round, which I think we kind of did that in 2021, but I know we convinced ourselves we could beat USC and make the Sweet 16. Like, I remember sitting down for that game being so excited because I was like, go win. Just find a way to win. Get to the Sweet 16. So I just don't think it's realistic, as hard as we can try, to set ourselves up to be okay to hear the final buzzer after a second round loss and be like, shucks. At least we won a lot of games in the past. I don't think I'll ever get to that point. Wish I could. Wish I had that maturity, but I don't.
It's okay. You'll get there.
I mean, were we flat out wrong about the team preseason? Like, we knew the personnel, even without Arterio playing. Like, I felt like we were all pretty confident, right, throughout non-con. Same team. We had two starters that legit didn't score the basketball.
I think the big fear about this team, the fears we had, have basically all come true. Which the crazy thing is, I don't think you could have ever scripted. Like, if you look back on the day we have Arterio Morris and Nick Timberlake playing together and wherever we were, this Puerto Rico, you could have never scripted a scenario where by March 4th, Arterio's off the team and Nick Timberlake is just so far from being ready to play in high-level basketball games in March. Like, it's just that part on top of the fears about spacing and this DeJuan and Kevin and KJ working well together. It just all went bad. But they're still dudes. They're still good players, and who knows what they could string together.
I know, like, we always talk about how they have two guys averaging 20, and obviously Furphy's going to get drafted. How do you guys feel about DeJuan lately? Because I feel like DeJuan really has turned into the guy that he's been previously, but kind of more so the guy we expected him to be this year, scoring it a little more, being more aggressive. I don't know. Does Kevin being 100% and healthy maybe make things a little easier on Furphy? Like, yeah, Furphy's been struggling and slumping, but that's kind of might have to do with him getting a lot of attention from other teams.
I had this thought on Saturday as DeJuan was playing pretty well. It really sucks to think that we got a stretch during the season where Furphy was electric, so good. Now we're getting a stretch, like even going back to the K-State game, where DeJuan has finally started to play like we wanted DeJuan all year to play, and we still just have yet to see it all work. And maybe that's the spin zone. I just created a new spin zone. Maybe we're going to reach a point where you get good DeJuan, you get good Furphy, you get good McCullar, and you get Hunter and KJ doing their thing. Like, obviously, that's the best possible scenario. But that, I think, is partly why I'm so low on this team, is like, we've seen Furphy do the things we kept saying we need a guy to do, make shots and be a good guard. And then we said, well, just once DeJuan starts playing better. And we've seen that, and it still is just not good enough.
Yeah. I guess what games, though? Because, I mean, BYU felt like a really bad matchup. Like, I had a bad feeling once we didn't put them away that it was going to end up being a ball game, just because they were spacing out the floor, just firing threes. But Kev didn't play that night. Tech, we kind of knew what was coming. So I don't know. I think if all those guys are clicking in 100% and Juan's being Juan, facilitating, and
yeah, I don't think we've seen that. But we saw Juan be Juan at K-State. He was really good, and we obviously got Kevin's worst game of the year. So, yeah, it's just tough because it feels like we wasted Furphy's potentially his best stretch of the year. And not that this is DeJuan's
season's over
peak, but I mean, I'm just saying.
I wouldn't even show up to the field house tomorrow.
Shouldn't
Don't
matter.
even let
Shouldn't matter.
don't
We're
even let the
spoiled. Why
fans.
care? Let's lose. Let's lose out. We're spoiled.
I didn't say that, and it's true. We are. We've probably been the most spoiled since Bill got here, unless it's UConn.
No, it's UConn's so weird. Don't get me. It triggers me to
Kevin
talk
Ollie?
about
I don't
Kevin
know.
Ollie having a national title is infuriating, dude.
But
Isn't
it's
he like an NBA head coach right now?
Yeah, I think he took over for Jock, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like I feel like the reason a lot of fan bases hate KU is the way we react after losses.
That's what every elite
Like-
program does. It's what Alabama football does. It's what Duke basketball does. It's what Kentucky basketball does. It's just that's life.
I think Braden, it sounds like not the only, but a lot of the reason you have some
Wanting
confidence
players
that
to
they can
leave.
go on a run is simply because of past KU teams. Am I wrong? And Bill Self being the
What do you
coach,
mean?
and he's done it before. Like,
What do
I
you
don't know.
mean?
Like, I hear you try to explain, and that's, I guess it's a different side of it, but it feels like, yeah, theoretically, if all 5 starters play their A game and we get hot, sure, they can go on a run. Like, that's the NCAA tournament. But it feels like there are so many things that would have to go right at the same time that hasn't happened once this year.
Yeah.
And for me to think and to like lay all my confidence in this hypothetical that the starting 5 is just going to turn it on once March starts, it doesn't feel like the safest route for A, our emotions, but B, like reasoning to expect any sort of run. And
I guess
when I say I don't see it happening, I'm not saying there's 0% chance, but I think it's a lot closer to 0 than it is to like 50 or 25 even.
I guess my thing with the spoiled thing is like our fans, and I feel like you guys right now, you guys think we suck. Like you guys think we stink.
I think we stink in terms. I think we stink in terms of like national title contenders and what we thought.
Bills had so many good teams, so you.
And yeah, we
I know.
stink. And we stink in relative to Kansas basketball. I think is what me and AB have always said. Like when we say, "Oh, this team doesn't have it. I'm out on this team." All we're saying is, I don't think this team can win a national title. And I think so. Yeah, if we want to get, do I think this team really really sucks a lot compared to rest of college basketball? No, but you can't. It's really hard for me to just be convinced that this team could make a Final Four without a very lucky draw in the NCAA tournament. And so I don't know the best way to word that without sounding negative, but I just think that's
what sucks about March is I'm sitting here thinking about last year's team. You got Jay Will, All-American, Grady, lottery pick, Kev, and we just got screwed on draw. Like I'm sitting here thinking that team could have won it all. I don't care if KJ was the center. Like when that team was cooking, they could at least make the Final Four. But
full circle on this episode, boys.
Hey, well, I had some more takes.
Unless UConn just absolutely shit the bed, like I think they would have given it to us. And Bill obviously wasn't able to coach, so like UConn was just a whack. We all 3 knew it right away. They were hot. Like they had the talent, metrics wise, people loved them. So yeah, it's all about luck, dude. We've watched it since we were kids. It's the craziest tournament. I've never wanted to change as much as I always talk about the series thing with Bill. Like the format is amazing. That's what makes, even if college basketball is ugly, like you guys are watching first day of the tournament, second day of the tournament from 11 to 11, every game, every second.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I will still be very locked in, and I will still be on this podcast come Selection Sunday, giving you my route to the Kansas Jayhawks making a Final Four. So,
but I totally get where you guys are though, because like in 2019, this is exactly how we felt. I feel like that team was donezo. Was this team anywhere near that team?
I mean, there's some people. There's some people that would say this team is approaching worse than that team. Well, and I don't agree, but
it's because of what we did early in the season. I feel like, because you had Doak and you had LeGerald. So that team
is that not a lot of people's argument for this team though?
Yeah, but I actually just thought you were talking about
there. They weren't even there at the end of the year. Like, so we went into that tournament with no hopes at all.
That team
This
never
team
lost
has
a home
players.
game.
Here's all the history we need just to refresh everyone on something we talked about back in October. This is the 4th year that we've been number 1 preseason overall. The first time was 04-05. We lost the first round to Bucknell. The second time was 2009-2010. We lost second round to Northern Iowa. And the third time was 2018-2019 when we lost second round to Auburn. So run it back, boys. Another first weekend exit, more preseason number 1.
Good. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I don't even really know. I had one more take, and I don't know if I want to open this can of worms, but AB, I'm like, and everyone in the chat, I'm so triggered by the Hunter Dickinson argument. And the more I think about the KJ at the KJ at the 5 thing.
Gone.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that, B-Turn. But the KJ at the 5 thing, the thing that made that work was you had a lottery pick Grady Dick who could rebound. You had Jalen Wilson,
Jalen Daniels,
who could rebound the shit out of the ball. You had Kevin McCullar, who is the second best rebounder on this team. And then you had DeJuan, who was pretty good to have. I guess he didn't really have shooters around him, which it's crazy that team was as good as they were. But like, to me, the way to make next year's team work without Hunter is way harder than it is with Hunter. I think there's more possibility of being really good if Hunter returns than there is if Hunter leaves and you try some KJ experiment, or you start a freshman at the 5, or you start Zach Clements at the 5. That's just I had to get that take out.
The best thing about sports and talking about sports and making predictions about sports is we always find out what was right, who was right, and who was wrong. And in about 12 months from right now, we can have the same conversation and look back on it one way or another. And it does suck that it's March 4th and we're talking about the 2025 Jayhawks already.
I wonder what we were saying after the TCU game in 22. I'm sure we weren't crazy.
We were very level-headed. We read tweets making fun of all the fans melting down.
Yeah,
and that team
we didn't even have Remy going yet.
And that TCU team was good. I don't know why we were so triggered by that road loss. That team should have made the Sweet 16 against Arizona. Or remember that game they had against Arizona in the second round of that tournament? Like Mike Miles, big dude Lampkin. That team was
Eddie Lampkin.
Good.
That's funny. Funny you bring up Lampkin, because this shows you how much I've paid attention to college hoops this year. I was just looking at sports books last night, and I saw Colorado at 50-1 to make the Final Four. I was watching them play, had money on them. It's like, oh my, this is value. Like, telling my friends, I get on Bracketology, they're like next 4 out, not even in the field, and I'm like telling my friends, like, dude, go grab this.
To win it all, you took them?
No, to make the Final Four.
Oh, okay.
Which, dude, they have some players. Their point guard, I would love for KU to go after. But they have, Jalen Williams for the Thunder. His brother, Cody Will, he'll be like a top 5 pick. And then their starting 5 is really good. But yeah, that's how much they're not even in the field. So good bet.
I have to confess something. Speaking of futures, I placed a future on the Duke Blue Devils to win the national title.
If you see Bill Bowski up there, will you be triggered? Like, do you still? What's your Duke? So when Kay was there, compared to now, what was your hate level then compared to now? Like on a scale of 1 to 10.
So much higher then, but I think that
like
Filipowski.
10, right?
Yeah, it was. I hated Duke more than I hate. Like, I'll be honest, I think I hated Duke more than I hated Missouri. Like, as a kid, like I just grew up hating Duke so much. Like, first things I remember about college basketball are Kenny Gregory and hating Duke. Like, those are my first 2 memories of college basketball. I don't even know why. Now it's been hard to hate this team, but like I've said, I think the last 2 episodes, the Filipowski injury and Shire coming over with his mouth halfway, like yelling, and then like,
okay?
like, and the screenshot of them flooding him off the court, like he had shattered his leg into pieces, to then see him windmilling a week later. I just had this feeling of like, it would be such a Duke thing to like rally around this cornball fake injury thing and win it all. And they got dudes. They really do.
They do.
I forgot Roach is still there.
Yeah. Yeah,
So.
dude, he's been in college forever. I was gonna ask this, and I'm interested to see your guys' answer, but how many college athletes do you think would have done the same thing Filipowski did, like milking that injury? Do you think that would have been like?
I don't even know. Like maybe he did think he was that hurt.
No, like just like trying to play it off like you just lost, like being a sore loser. Fans are rushing the court, someone bumps you, and you just milk it to make them feel bad. I feel like there would have been a lot of athletes that did that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. I'm trying to picture a KU player. Hunter Dickinson would have probably made a scene out of it, but
it is such a Duke thing.
Is KJ Adams literally like Filipowski was like sobbing? It looked like,
yeah,
and it was so dramatic. You have to sit the next game to act like that. You just have to pretend you're hurt. It's Louisville. Yeah, you're playing against the worst program in college basketball. You just got to sit, and then you don't bring the windmill out a week later. But
that tweet when someone quoted him said, "Look out, DeMar Hamlin," made me laugh so hard, dude.
Oh my god! I will say it is funny getting
That's like a troll job what he did.
So
windmill.
If they just like go all in on villain mode and I don't know, embrace it a little bit. I don't think they were ever good at that when K was there. They were too like professional. Like they tried to be the Yankees of college basketball. Whereas I think Shire, I don't know if you guys have seen, like some of the Duke players make some crazy TikToks. Some hate it, some love it. But Shire lets these dudes have fun and like kind of have a personality that's not based around their head coach's personality. And so I just kind of had this feeling of, oh my God, Duke's going to rally around this, and this is going to be what they talk about when they win the national title. So,
gun to your head, who goes further in the tournament, Duke or Kentucky?
Duke, dude.
Really?
I could see them playing in the national title.
Well balanced. Kentucky's on the 4 line, by the way, right now, right? Lenardi.
That's terrifying to be a 1 seed. Now, what do us three put up against Kentucky? Yeah. Do us 3 and 2 decent D1 basketball players score 85 against Kentucky? I think it's possible.
It was shocking when I turned that game on after the KU game and saw that the score was like 86-81 Arkansas. And I was like, nice, I'll catch the last like 2 minutes of this. I looked down at the clock. They were just getting back from the under 8 timeout.
I got Kentucky money line at plus 130. It turned my entire day around after KU. They're a whack. I mean, and it was the easiest bet of my life because they can score 25 points in literally 4 minutes.
I'm going to be our title sponsor if Kentucky wins it all.
Yeah, how many more times have you doubled down on that? Tripled, quadrupled?
I think I have 4 national championship futures on them.
Currently 96.
I kept saying it. I said it all year. I'm not saying they're going to win it all, but I felt like it was worth a flyer. Now they're going to be a 4, and I feel like everyone's on there.
Worth a flyer, and you took it 4 times.
Well, it's not like I nuked them, but I don't know what their odds are now. I think I got them at 30 or 35.
They're still not very. They're still not very. Which that's probably to AB's point. Like Vegas is not falling for it yet. But I'm getting a little. They're not very well. I don't know the words I'm looking for, you asshole.
Cal, due to get out of the first weekend.
But AB, do you get any vibes that Kentucky could just pull like a 2014 with Julius Randle? Those dudes went in as an 8 seed, and they had just looked bad at times all year, but they just had the best talent on the floor in every NCAA tournament game, and they just willed themselves, which them making it all the way to the national title and then losing to Kevin Ollie is very funny.
It's very funny, yes.
I get a little bit of that with them. I even get a little Duke 2015 where it's like under the radar, but all of a sudden you've got Justice Winslow, who's a top 10 pick, and you've got Jahlil Okafor, who's top 5 pick.
Boy, does that game trigger
that
Wisconsin game. Oh, If I see highlights of that game, I just start punching myself in the face.
I'm going to
Not
stick to the
even-
research and stick with the Ken Palm predicting national championship stat that you got to be top 40 in both going into the tournament, and Kentucky just ain't close to that. So I'll
It
stick with
is.
San
It's
Diego
cr-
State.
Yeah, they lost.
It is crazy how bad Kentucky's defense is. Like how?
Miami though, that's like that kind of they remind me of them. Miami
Mhm.
got hot, beat a really good Texas team. Obviously lost to UConn, but they did. I looked at their Ken Palm. Also, AB, how much is Ken Palm? What's the word I'm looking for? I guess like inflated. What due to like March Madness? I feel like I was
It
looking
is
at.
quite a bit.
It's
But I
kind
think
of
the top
annoying.
40 in each has to be before.
No,
the
I'm not even asking about that. Like, I was looking the other day just at previous Final Fours and where teams were, and there was like an 11 seed that finished at like 11th on Ken Palm or something. So like, does he just put all those teams up there because they get hot in the tournament, or that's really what they were pre-tournament?
No, he keeps the same
Yeah,
strategy or formula, I guess. But yeah, I mean, if the 11 seed was one of like the higher ranked, like I don't know, when Wichita State played us as a 10 or 7, whatever they were like 12th in Ken Palm. So I don't know.
One last breaking news, and then I'm about to get out. I can't believe it's. I mean, whatever tradition like no other. It's in
UCLA that year when they lost to Gonzaga on the half-court shot. They were 11 seed, playing in a play-in game, and they were 13th on Ken Palm. 11th offense. I didn't think that. There's no way.
My breaking news is Arch Manning has opted out of being in the EA Sports video game.
Really? Why?
Nerd.
That's the first player I've heard say that. What is his issue?
What? Because he's the backup?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's wrap this up, though.
Always wrap it up, boys.
Yes.
You know?
Mm-hmm. All right.
For sure. Especially this episode. All right. Hawks are going 2-0. We'll see you on Sunday, where we are back on the train of winning a national title. So, rock chalk. We'll see you.